Welcome to That Seasonaire podcast. I'm your host Gina. Stick with me as I chat to seasonaires, expats and adventurers across the world sharing their inspiring stories and interesting insights into living and working abroad. Join us in part one of this two-part episode where I catch up with the queen of silly nonsense herself, the one and only Lauren Kelly.
And in Finland, it's no joke.
Really?
It's not just off the piste. I was waist deep in snow. I couldn't dig myself out. I got down to the bottom eventually and I was just sweating profusely. And it had been about 20 minutes. She was like, did you get stuck? I was like, obviously I get stuck, Leah. Where do you think I've been?
Tune in as we hear Laurens Seasonaire's story across Finland, Slovenia, Italy and Austria. And stick with us right to the end of the show as we talk traumatic transfer days and hotel horror stories. This podcast is supported by Dope Snow. Catch the team over at Snowbox Festival in March, where they'll be hosting a park and rail jam in Avoriaz with giveaways, prizes and live music to get you in the mood. Check out the show notes for links to their full events calendar and details on how to join the community. Here's the show. Lauren Kelly, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
How are you? How are you doing?
Oof, that's a deep question to
All
start
right.
with.
Should we get onto that
Who
later?
am I? Nah, I'm good. We were chatting before that. Yeah, at the moment I'm injured, so I think it takes a lot more to keep yourself occupied and keep your mind right. But yeah, no, I'm doing good. I had great prognosis from the doctor, so yeah, the recovery is on, and yeah, my whole sort of thought process throughout this, I've just been thinking, I do not want to be that person that come next winter, I go, I broke my ankle last year and it actually still gives me some jip. So I'm trying to do everything quote unquote right. So yeah, I had good news from the doctor and yeah, starting the physio this week.
Good.
That's it, road to recovery.
But yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself. Whereabouts are you from? I mean, I think it's obvious from your accent.
Can you tell?
Tell us where you're from and...
What's my name? Where'd I come from?
Yeah, like what's your current situation?
Ah, okay, cool. Yeah, I come from Scotland, as you can tell. I come from a place called Guruk, and no one ever knows what it is, so I just say about half an hour outside Glasgow. But if anyone knows Scotland, they usually pick me up on it. So yeah. So not far from Glasgow. Lived in Glasgow before I came out to do seasons. And yeah, at the moment I'm breathing Meyerhofen. I've done quite a few seasons. I'm sure we'll go over on the Seasonaire podcast across Europe, but. I came to Meyerhofen and I finally just felt pretty settled. Like, after you move around every 6 months, which is great, you experience loads of different places, you get to ski loads of different places, summer in different places, but after a while you just want a bit of stability. Like, I want a good spice collection. Yeah. I want good Tupperware that I know which lid fits the Tupperware. Like, I just want these basic things, these basic human rights. Yes. So yeah, I came to Meyerhofen. Also, like, I mean, of course, Brexit happened, so I'm staying in Austria longer term. And yeah, Meyerhofen, I'm sure people have said before, it just feels a bit more, you've got more of a community, it's more diverse, it's not just expats, it's not just people from one different walk of life. It actually feels like a lot of people have culminated and have a community here.
Tell us what sparked the idea to...
to quit my entire life in the UK and move out and do seasons in a minimum wage job. Mother, close your ears. Two of my friends were actually, like, I came into the snowboarding and sort of seasonaire game a little bit later, you could say. Two of my friends were working in a chalet in Morzine, and I went out with a friend. We went on a winter break. Had never been skiing or snowboarding before, but I thought, I was arrogant enough to think, you just stand up, you slide down. It's not difficult. You can do this. And I was really excited about the prospects. I love the whole. I love the idea of the sort of season vibe. So I thought I'd go out and give it a bash. And we stayed in our friends were living in the basement of a chalet in Morzine, and they had like a little spare room that they put all the bottoms of cot beds on the ground, and me and my friend Kay just had jumpers to cover us, and we stayed there for 3 days. And it was because we had no money, so yeah, we decided to do this, and shout out my friend Kay. We went up our friends took us up to the top of the mountain, and as I say, I was on a snowboard, so I thought, I'll just stand and slide, and it's not that simple. Anyone that's never done it before. But Kay had done like a few lessons on skis, and she did 2 turns and then carried her skis down the entire mountain. Lo and behold, she is still in Scotland. So it wasn't a career path. But yeah, I went and I fell over loads, and yeah, I didn't even remotely get the hang of it. I did the classic thing that I now hate when people don't do, like you don't come out and learn when you're on the actual mountain. But yeah, I just absolutely loved the atmosphere. I loved the people. I loved Apres. I loved all of it. And I thought, I need to be involved in this lifestyle.
Yeah.
And yeah, I went home and I started applying to various different places. And then, yeah, I got an interview with my current employer. Schmistel Schmee. I work for Crystal Ski.
Yeah.
And I applied for a chalet host job. So I went down. I'd been at a festival all weekend at a place called Kelburn, not far from where I'm from. And yeah, it's been like a 3-day festival. It was very fun. a huge amount of sleep happening. So, and then I had an overnight train booked to London for like my assessment day.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd been out all weekend. I'd been partying, and then I got the overnight train down to London for this interview to be a chalet host. And yeah, I think Crystal called me the next day. And they were like, "Oh, we had a great interview, because you're there for like a whole day. The morning they like assess you, you do various tasks, and then like at the midpoint they tell you if they want you to come back for the afternoon for an actual interview." Yeah, they were like, "Yeah, really good interview. Like it was nice to meet you, but we don't think you're right for the chalet host job." I was like, "Oh, that's a bit brutal."
Yeah.
And they're like, "But have you heard of rep?" I was like, "Oh, less work and more pay." Carry on. So yeah, they offered me the rep position, and then I think this was like the July time, and I didn't want to hand in my notice until I had like, because it's a big thing. You're moving country, you're doing, and yeah, I did, until I had a contract with them. I thought I better not tell anybody that I'm leaving. As with it, all big companies not always the quickest to get things out. So I think in October they sent me a contract. So I'd just been sitting in the office in Glasgow knowing that I was leaving for a while. I was like, yeah. And I mean, to be fair, I loved my life in Glasgow. I loved my job. I loved my friends. I loved my flat. I loved being close to my family. So I didn't want to do it to get away from Scotland.
Yeah.
I went, and the experience was so overwhelmingly positive that I thought I need to do more of this.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends also snowboard, and I thought they were at a pretty decent level, and I thought if I want to go on holiday, so that the idea, the classic, I'm sure this isn't the first time this has been said on the podcast, that I gave her 1 season.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. Everyone thinks they're only going to do 1 season.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, the idea was to do 1 season, learn to snowboard, and then I could in the next following years I could go on holiday with them. But yeah, so I wasn't on a get out of Scotland vibe. It was more, I wanted to experience the mountains. Yeah. So yeah, packed it in, and then I was originally supposed to be coming to Austria, and then I got another call and they said, "Oh, would you consider going to Finland?" Okay. And I said yes. Cool. That sounds amazing. Yeah. So my first season was 2016. And I went out to a place called Sala. Its tagline is "in the middle of nowhere," and it's stunningly beautiful, but it wasn't quite the snowboard and Apres vibe Lauren was looking for.
A bit different.
Yeah, but it was what a phenomenal experience. And now after the seasons that I've done, I would say it's definitely one of my top.
Really?
Because I mean, people often ask about it as well, because it is a bit different, and a lot of people that go to Finland on holiday, it's like a once in a lifetime, like it's not, it's a country you can go back, but a lot of people they probably won't. But it was really beautiful. There was the scenery is incredible. I mean, it is cold. It's like minus 30. But the experiences I had there, I was working with another girl called Leah. She's also Scottish. And yeah, we're not the most organised, I think. So it's just the two of us, just against all odds, selling the passes and things, just trying to get our admin done.
Yeah.
But still wanting to experience everything, and still wanting, because there's still a nightlife there as well. So yeah, it was an incredible experience doing the reindeer rides and the husky rides and the skidooing. We skidooed to the border of Russia one day. It was really incredible. Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, so going back a little bit, what were you actually doing for a job in the UK?
So I was working for a fleet management company. So we managed people's company cars, people's fleet vehicles, and really there was no problems there. Yeah, it just was more exciting working in the mountains.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I left school and went to uni and studied informatics for a bit.
That is so random.
I know, it's rogue. Yeah. I went to the open day and they just had a new informatics building and they were like training robots to play football and stuff. So I got bamboozled. Right? They pulled out all the big guns and I was like, amazing, but obviously I'm not going to be doing that in first year. Like, I'm going to be doing a million maths courses and things. So yeah, it wasn't really for me. So after a year, I left, and then I worked in a bank for a while. I thought that might be a good career path. It was not. Then I left that and I went to uni again.
Okay. What were you doing the second time?
If at first you don't succeed. Maths and stats.
Okay.
So really vocational after the first.
Were you quite good at maths then? You must have been to get on these.
Yeah,
courses.
But I think I think I probably picked the courses based on that as opposed to things that I'm actually interested in. Mm-hmm. And I was very aware both times that I was like, I could work my fingers to the bone and work really hard at this and break into the middle of the pack and then get a job that I'm going to have to work really hard at that I don't necessarily want to do. I think I was thinking that I had to pick the most intellectual course that with the grades that I had or that I could do. Whereas it's just, I mean, my mother will tell you, like, unless I'm interested in something, then I'm not going to pay that much attention to it. So yeah, it was a schoolboy error, both the first and second time. So I did the same again. I went to Glasgow, went to Strathclyde Uni, and then after a year, I thought, why did I come back? I did all my outside subjects. I was acing like the like philosophy and things, all the like more thinking based ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't for me. So yeah, after a second round of uni, I thought maybe not. So it went from a numbers thing I didn't like that I then left to bank numbers, which I didn't like. Then went to Strathclyde to do maths, numbers, didn't like. And then I was in a financial job. Like maybe at some point there was maybe a red flag that said I didn't really enjoy this type of work. But yeah, I really beat a dead horse on that one. So then finally I came out to the mountains. I didn't really go to the mountains. Finland doesn't really have mountains. It just has big hills.
Yeah, so we're back in Finland. So basically you're at this job, you go and visit your mates in Morzine. Can you ski or snowboard at this point?
No,
not at all.
No.
Never even.
Nope.
Did that ever even cross your mind to try?
It did and it didn't, but skiing is such a for me who had never done it, so I'd never been on a ski holiday. Family, we went on more like summer cycling, hiking holidays. So I've always been pretty outdoorsy. But yeah, I hadn't thought to do it, as I say, because you haven't gone on a holiday or you haven't been experienced. Yeah, it just hadn't been presented to me. Yeah. And to do it on a whim is incredibly expensive.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
The thought of like the holiday, then on top of it the lift. But I mean, even at this time, I didn't really know what I needed and what I didn't need. Like I think I borrowed somebody's snowboard boots that were like a size 8. I just stuffed some socks into them. Like honestly, I'm the worst. I am the worst guest. Like if I had a guest like this now, I'd be like, do you know what? That's natural selection. See when you inevitably break yourself. Like so, yeah. But no, I'd always wanted to, and as you say, you see it on social media or on Red Bull TV or anything. I mean, I know it's a lot more now, but I was 25 and had never even been in a ski resort. Never mind tried to snowboard. But
so you went to Morzine to visit your mates who were doing a season there, and literally that's the only reason you went, and because you're kind of curious about skiing and snowboarding, but not really a thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I thought, as I say, like I wanted to just learn so I could go on holiday. And the girl that I was with in Finland, she had skied all her life, and she skied in Scotland, so she can actually ski because it's just heather and rocks. So I went to the hire shop and said, the guy was like, "Oh, have you skied? Like, how much skiing you done?" I was like, "I'm a complete beginner. Like, I've never skied before." And he was like, "Oh, okay." And he like set up a brand new board, and in Finland all the runs are cameraed, or most of them are when it's a smaller resort, so that if someone does end up off like, or lost, they can find out where they are.
Right.
And I went up and the guy, like, she's like squeaked down the first one, and then immediately I just went off piste, not intentionally. No, I'm not trying to be cool. I accidentally went. And in Finland, it's no joke.
Really?
It's not just off the piste. I was waist deep in snow. I couldn't dig myself out. I got down to the bottom eventually, and I was just sweating profusely. And it had been about 20 minutes. She was like, "Did you get stuck?" I was like, "Obviously I got stuck, Leah. Where do you think I've been?" She was like, "Yeah, okay." And then I went back that day, like the hire shop left pass off a ski school is one building, like it's all together. I went back and the guy was like, "Oh my God, you actually can't ski?" And I was like, well, he's like, "I thought you were just joking, like you're on a season." And I was like, "No, I absolutely." And he's like, "This board is not for you." I think it was like the Burton Diversity. It's like a big green
cool.
board. So it was a great board. See, now I'd love it, but no, not at the time. And as well, there's not really in Finland, now that I've got a bit more experience, like in Finland, there's not really like a ski snowboard community. There's not really anyone to go boarding with.
Okay.
Do you know?
Yeah.
It's also it's so cold that you can't really be on the mountain for particularly long.
Yeah. What is that like? Obviously, you mentioned the -30.
It's not necessarily the fact that it hits that temperature, it's consistently that temperature as well.
Yeah,
So if we get like a cold snap here, or even because France I think gets it a bit more because at a higher altitude, if they have a cold snap it's a few days, whereas from the minute that you arrive it's Baltic. Like, I remember we started at one of the suppliers, so where you go for like the reindeer sleigh rides and the dog sledding and everything, was, I think, I can't remember how far away it was, but it was a distance that would usually take you 20 minutes to walk. And me and the girl, me and Leah were like, we can just go there, like we'll go and meet them, like we've got loads of time, it'll be good, we'll get to experience the local area, how nice, it'll be very beautiful. And 2 minutes in, it was just head down and trudge, and like all of our eyelashes froze, our cheeks froze. And also we were going to meet a supplier, so we'd like put a little bit of makeup on, but the mascara when you go inside, because everywhere's roasting inside, it just melted down my face. I looked like a member of Cradle of Filth. Like it's really extreme. So it's a different, but then it's a kind of different kind of cold when you're at that temperature, because I always say this, like in Finland I never felt cold because I was wearing my thermals, my jeans, my salopettes. We were in uniform, of course. Like effectively, it was in ski gear all the time. And we used to usually you would visit hotels, but in Finland it's all cabins. So me and Leah would just go around and knock people's cabins and see how they were getting on and chat to them. But everybody's in a really relaxed, nice vibe. And they've got the fire on, and they've got these cabins with saunas, and they're really beautiful. And the whole family's there, so they're like, "Oh, come in, do you want a drink, do you want a hot chocolate?" And you can't say no, because you can't have them stand at the door, because then they'll be freezing. But see, because you're wearing 7,000 layers, immediate, like you're like a boil in the bag, just sitting there, and it's so weird. You can feel the sweat. It's not the most attractive you've been, but yeah, you can't be rude. So and then everyone was like, "Oh, do you want a beer or something?" And by the time you get round all the cabins, you're like, pretty much a night out. So it's good. And also there's so many kids in Finland that the holiday's pretty much for kids and engagements. It's pretty much
really
but on the lead up to Christmas, of course, you can go and see the real Santa. And that was the best day of the week. You'd take all the kids, and
so cute.
They were so hyper. Like Leah and I sometimes would just both go. It didn't require two of us to go, but still fun. You put the tunes on, and everyone would be super excited, and an incredible experience. And he was the real Santa.
Oh, okay.
And I stand by it. Like, he was the nicest man in the world. He spoke like 12 languages. He owned a business in Sri Lanka, and they just have like a big house in the countryside in Finland that it was like a family house that they now run these Santa experiences and have sort of at-risk kids as the elves. That was mental. And then you go sledging onto a frozen lake, and you go and you have warm berry juice, and you make cookies, and then you meet Santa, and you sing a Finnish song. It's really phenomenal. I remember one time it was like, and the kids are high as kites at this. Like, they're really like, it's 10. I mean, when they go in and see Santa, immediate silence, because they're like, I know, it's cute, but then I'm like, you've been chanting at the bit to meet this man.
Yeah.
Come on. What was that tap dance you were doing on the coach? But I remember one time Leah had taken the kids and they came, and there was the only other people and the only other tour operator in the village was a Spanish tour operator.
Okay.
So there was pretty much Crystal and a Spanish tour op. And yeah, Leah got back from seeing Santa, and there was loads of this group of Spanish tours taking the picture of the front of the bus because their bus had hit a reindeer.
Oh my God.
And we were like, children, don't look. We're like having to shimmy the kids around. Like, why is everyone taking pictures? And like, Rudolph's dead. Sorry to say there'll be no treats this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was rogue. But
Brutal.
no children were scarred that day. We managed to efficiently navigate them.
Like a true rep should.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yes. hoping not to scar children for life.
Yeah.
So
good job.
Yeah, thanks. But no, it's really, like, I think the experiences and the different things, and as well, like I mentioned, the Finnish people, they're a very different type. Like they're quite quite private, quite quiet. Maybe quite quiet. But they were super welcoming and like we went to there was no shop in our village.
Oh wow.
So on the bus from the airport, the guests had to do a supermarket sweep. We gave them half an hour, and they had to get their stuff for the week because they're all self-catered.
What?
Yeah, and then they had to take little sledges and walk their stuff up to their cabins so they couldn't get the bus up. So, but I thought everyone would be kicking off about it. No one could. Everyone was like, "Oh, what an experience!" So I got away with it. But that was also because you also can't buy booze in the shops in Finland.
Oh,
They have to
really?
go to like a government-controlled shop. So Leah and I would divide and conquer because we also had to get our like stuff. But yeah, when we arrived, before any guests had arrived, it was a full week. And we didn't have a car or anything, so we just had no food for a week. But we went to see like the people at the ski school. As I say, it was all one building.
Yeah.
And Vladimir, legend, was like, "You're what? You don't have a car?" He's like, "Do you need to go to the supermarket?" I was like, "Actually, yes, we definitely do need to go to the supermarket." And he drove us down. It's like 30 kilometres away, and he like, drove us down and then proceeded to go around the supermarket and explain what everything was. And I was like, it was very kind of him, like super sweet. But I was like, I'd probably managed to deduce what the eggs are. Honestly. I know I can't speak Finnish, but that one was fairly self-explanatory. But yeah, I was only in that place for a couple of months, and then I had to move to Ulas, which is really far north, like really, quite high in the Arctic Circle. And it does get colder. Like,
Oh my God.
And I was there on my own as well. So the girl,
wow.
the woman that had been working there had to go home. And yeah, I took over, so it was my first season. Leah and I weren't exactly excelling at like the admin responsibility. I mean, yeah, everything else was good. The guests were happy, but like being responsible for all the admin, the numbers, pretty much the finances. So as if I'd had a bit of training.
Tell us a little bit about those first experiences as a rep, because it is quite. People don't realise it, but it's not all just about the customer facing, everything's good, like we're going to make everything, but like there's a lot that goes into it. Like how did you find that in your first season? And also tell us a little bit about your accommodation situation there.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, I think people think that they just appear in resort, like, and to be fair, they should. That's what they've paid for. Like for a package holiday, you have entrusted someone to do all the bits that you, to be honest, you can't be arsed doing yourself. Yeah. So like when the basics just happen, people just expect it, which is, again, I'll reiterate, they should. That's what we're there to do. But that's our full-time job. Yeah. And I think as well, then when things go wrong and people can't fathom that we can't get planes, and the fact that the weather's bad and we can't just automatically shoot a big hole in the snow cloud and get your plane out because you've got a wedding tomorrow. Right? So yeah, I think that we're employed full time to make this run so that you don't think that it takes anything to run.
For sure.
And yeah, you've got back office stuff. We've got to make sure that we are ticking all the right boxes, and we work for a big company as well. So everything has to be recorded, and as well, like, things happen on ski holidays. Like people get injured. Like people get injured on the mountain. People get injured in hotels. People slip. People like we need to make sure that we limit that happening, but also make sure that if it does happen, then we act appropriately. So yeah, there's a lot more that goes into it, and I think it's also different, not so much for me, but I think I always feel a bit, like when it's your first season, you also just have to be nice to everybody.
Yeah.
Like, that can be quite draining. See, if you're away from your family for the first Christmas, you don't know anybody, like it's exciting in a way, but it's also pretty daunting. Like, and to have all that responsibility and have this person's holiday, like they've saved 51 weeks of the year to come on this 1 week holiday, and you're responsible for them, and they make you aware of that. I do feel like it's a lot of responsibility when someone's probably not feeling their bestest, that they're maybe, because you come out and do training. Training's always mental as well, because you've just got loads of extroverts in a room together shouting at each other and being pushed as well. So training, you're out your comfort zone, and it's and then in the evening everyone's partying as well, because you're just away and it's exciting, and it's all and then you're straight into a resort with new people, and it's a lot to take on for your first time, in fact any season. I mean, it's fun.
It's fun,
like it's a huge benefit to it, but I think people maybe underestimate that it's how much anxiety it can breed in people. And as you say, the living situation, the accommodations. I mean, accommodations in any ski resort are incredibly difficult to come by.
Yes, that's true. Yeah,
majority of the apartments and things, people can make more money if they rent them out non-seasonally. They do it on Airbnb or privately. If you do it week by week, you're going to make more money. So a lot of the good accommodation is used for that. Obviously, the company's trying to keep costs down as well. So an apartment in Meyerhofen is probably slightly more cost effective than an apartment in Val Thorens, for example. So there is a bit of give and take. And in Finland, we lived in one cabin, the two of us, and that was our bedroom, our kitchen, our office, our dining. It's just one square room, tiny square room. We only had one wardrobe between the two of us as well, with like an ensuite like shower room. Yeah. But to be fair, like if we didn't get on, I mean, it wouldn't have been great, but we did. So it was fun in a way, and we used to have some parties and things, and get the guys over from the...
Yeah, see, that was what I was going to ask as well, is that, was there much of a Seasonaire community in this place? Because it sounds quite small.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't, but you can find a party anywhere.
You can find a party anywhere.
Well, that's it, if we'd been to the Alco. No, it was this tiny little cabin, but it was right next to the safari place, was like the place that did all the skidoo rides and things. So there was like quite a few younger guys that worked there that like we became kind of pally with, because it was right next to where we were, like the cabin next to where we were staying. So they'd come over for coffee if we were working in the office, and like quite a few of their girlfriends worked in the reception for the cabin, so they would come over as well. So you can build a community, because a lot of the people that are working in the tourism industry, and mainly in Finland, are quite young. So you get to know them pretty quickly, because we're all under 40. Should we have a beer?
Let's be friends.
Yeah, exactly. And there was a bar that had a pool table in it, that was like attached to the reception. Okay. So we'd every so often we'd go there, but it was €40 for a bottle of wine. So
oh wow,
it's very expensive.
Yeah, I've heard that about Finland as well. Actually, that it is a very pricey place to.
It is,
to be.
yeah. And then when I moved to Ulas, actually, there was they have sort of Santa breaks, if you will. So there's people that come on holidays for like 4 or 5 days, but they do like included in your price. You go to see Santa and you get a sleigh ride or something. They're a slightly separate part of TUI, and Ingham's have the same, but it meant they had loads of staff. Right. So there was tons of staff that you could then, you had something in common with all of them. So although I was looking after Crystal ski guests, not Santa breaks guests, I was still with other Seasonaires. And specifically, I met a girl, Katia, who'd done a few seasons there. She works for Ingham's. And we got on real well. Oh, yeah? And I think she'd been there the season before, so she knew some places to go. It was slightly bigger at Ulas, and but they do this mental thing. So there's loads of cross-country skiing in Finland, of course, because there's not many hills. Yeah. And everybody cross-country skis everywhere. Like that's how they commute. Oh, wow. Like and I remember going going somewhere. They were having a fest. Was it a jazz festival or something? And everyone was going. And in school in Finland, they all learned to ballroom dance.
Okay.
So they were just ballroom dancing to this jazz music in their cross-country skiing shoes. And then after it, we went to, there was a karaoke bar. They love karaoke as well, but they also love metal.
Okay.
So they were just karaoke and really obscure metal bands, and people were still ballroom dancing.
That is so cool.
It was, it was. To be fair, like it was quite an experience, and Katya, she showed me the ropes and things. So it was, and that's the thing. I think as well that probably helped me to in any of my seasons to then just go with it. Like any experience. I suppose most people that come away and do these jobs, that's kind of your mentality anyway. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like don't ever let it pass you by. Don't be like, God, I can't listen to a 50-year-old Finnish guy screaming over a metal band that I don't know in Finnish. Just go, this is mental. This is really entertaining. So, do you know, it's
you've basically just sold Finland to me, like I'm there with bells on.
It's 10 out of 10. So Finland, although the season goes pretty long there because they've got incredible snow, because that's one thing I would say as well. I know the mountains aren't particularly big, and see when you look at the piste map, you think there's no point. Mm-hmm. Loads of drag lifts as well, like Tears and Snotters at the top of a 15-minute drag lift and a minus 30.
God.
But the skiing is incredible. Like the snow is incredible. It snows every day.
Really?
Yeah, it's incredible. But after that, although the season runs long, a lot of the cabins are privately owned, so a lot of the people that are based maybe in Helsinki or further south will come and use them sort of end of February, March time. So Crystal only operate until middle of Feb. And then I was shipped over to Obergurgl. Classic. Everyone had a stop for her little giggle. Everyone laughs at how I pronounce Obergurgl. I had a guest once that like I picked him up on the transfer, and he was like, "Oh, I'm so glad it's you." And I was like, "Oh, that's really nice. It must have been really nice on your return on your like transfer getting to the resort." And he was like, "No, I just like hearing you say the word Obergurgl." You can walk to the airport. Cheeky beggar. I'm the authority here. I'm not going to say the word once now. Hope you had a great holiday. But yeah, I moved to Obergurgl, which was really good because a few other people, I think at the start of the season, they'd sort of said, like a lot of the times there is space for people that people break themselves, people get homesick, like towards February time, it's quite helpful then from an influx of staff. But they didn't really need that many. But I got one of the jobs because I wasn't finished yet.
Yeah,
I wasn't going back to finance. So I went over to Obergurgl. Although the first day the team took me around the resort, and I dressed for Finland.
Oh, okay.
Because it still looks because Obergurgl's pretty high, and you're surrounded.
Obergurgl's here in Austria. We should probably say.
Yeah. So yeah.
So we've swapped countries.
Yeah. And Obergurgl's in the Utstal Valley, so still in Tyrol, and it's one of the highest, I'm pretty sure. One of the highest ski resorts that we have in Austria. And it's really beautiful, pretty high end. They must have thought I was a good fit.
Of course.
Yeah. But the first day they took me around town, but it was like 10 degrees, so I went from like minus 20 to 10.
Oh God.
And I was like wearing my full uniform with all of the layers on. I didn't quite have my salopettes on, but I was 1,000 degrees. I had to go home and change. I was like, this is really embarrassing. They're like, "Are you alright, Lauren?" I'm like, it's really warm here. So that was a bit of a learning. I've never been at a ski resort until I went to Finland. So from Morzine, but yeah, it was nice, and then the skiing there is incredible.
So you in your first season you did 3 different resorts. Is that right?
Yeah.
So you did 2 resorts in Finland and then went over to Austria.
Yeah. And was there until like April, and it was great because I went over and the team were already pretty established, and the person who had left, I can't remember who it was, but I don't think they were. Yeah, they had really nice hotels, so I just slotted in getting these really nice hotels and never had any complaints. So,
nice.
Yeah, and the team were really like pretty keen skiers as well. So there was always, and that is something that you miss, or that I maybe hadn't got the feel for yet. There was always someone to ski with, and it wasn't always the same person. Like somebody would just say, like, if you'd finished work, like, should we just grab the skis? We would go up the mountain, and that's kind of, that's what I've loved about the rest of the seasons, that you do. If you manage your time well, you can get up on the mountain most days. So, and it's nice when there's other people, because not every day you're going to be motivated. So if there's at least one other person, because some days you'll be the motivator, And then the other times you need someone to be like, look, come on, the conditions are really good, or we'll just do an hour, or maybe if we just go up and we'll go here for a coffee or a hot chocolate and then, or a beer. It's usually a beer. Yeah. But it's almost like a bit, they convince you, and once you're up there, you never regret going up the mountain.
No,
really.
Exactly.
So I did three resorts. It was an experience.
Yeah.
Either that was really bad at my job and they were just trying to move me around. Still here, so I don't think so.
Yeah, you're doing all right. So you went from Obergurgl to decide to go and doing summers.
Yeah.
So the one season was not one season, and clearly we're still here now. So yeah, tell us how Slovenia went and kind of the differences with summer seasons.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, like I was doing one season to learn to snow, so a summer hadn't even crossed my mind. And yeah, Crystal was part of TUI. TUI has a large summer program. It's way bigger than their winter program. But I'm not really the sandy beach kind of girl. I would incinerate if I went to one of these two resorts. So yeah, but they have a program called Lakes and Mountains, so it's pretty much ski resorts in the summer. That's how I would describe it. And yeah, the guy that was like my area manager at the time had called me and was like, "Oh, I think you'd be suited to this resort." And then they actually originally placed me in Bled.
Okay.
In Lake Bled, and I was so excited. I was like, because that's also like it's so picturesque, and it's also my brother had done some interrailing and had been, and like quite a few of my friends had done it, and they always talked really highly of it. So I was thinking, nice, this is going to be like. And then I got moved before I'd even went to a place called Kranjska Gora, and I was Well, originally that's what I thought, and I was like, and then my area manager at the time. Scottish guy called Robadiah.
What?
His name's like Robbie, but it's spelled in a like weird Gaelic way. So I called him Robadiah, and he phoned me just to say, look, I understand where you're coming from. He's like, I moved you because I think Kranjska Gora is a better fit for you. Like the things that you said. Because they do a bit of an interview. I mean, if you're employed with them already, it's not really an interview. It's just to see if you're suited for or where they think that they could place you. Yeah. And he's like, all the things that you want out of your summer are way more, like, I know that you might recognise Bled. Bled's not that far away. You can always, because there is a big team there. Yeah, you can still visit it, but I think you'd be more happy in Kranjska Gora. And Robadiah, because he was absolutely correct.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Kranjska Gora is an amazing place. Like, it's another small town. It's set in the Julian Mountains, just not far off the border of Austria. It's literally up over the pass, and you drop down into Kranjska Gora. Right. And yeah, it's got so many positives, like so much hiking, so much climbing. Yeah, it's a really, really incredible place. And yeah, I didn't really go down to Bled much because all the things, Robbie was right, all the things that I wanted were on my doorstep in Kranjska Gora. I know I said that I'm settled in Meyerhofen, but one of the key things about moving around was understanding like a bit of the history, a bit of like the culture of that specific town, about the countries. It's been an eye-opening experience, because I think sometimes coming from an island, we kind of forget that other countries border one another. Yeah. And in the not so recent past, there's been quite a few wars. Like, do you know that, like, and so gifted this part of this to Italy? I'm like, what? Yeah. Like, the school system has failed us in Scotland. Like, I know all about the Jacobites and the Egyptians, right? But I don't understand about the borders of Europe. Yeah, for sure. Which is pretty insane. So, especially Slovenia, because it's got pretty interesting history. Although there was in the town I lived, there was a Russian prisoner of war camp there. Okay. And in my walkabout, I would sit everybody down. I'd be telling them about it's quite a solemn topic, and tell them about the history, because people will ask as well. Yeah. And I'd read a fact wrong. I mean, people talk about rep facts when it's like kind of embellished facts, or they've just been passed on to rep. I said this with chest. I genuinely believed that this was the fact. So apparently over the course of however long the camp had been in Kranjska Gora, there'd been about 100,000 prisoners of war had come through it, and they built a road like a mountain pass, and during the building of the road, an avalanche happened and 100 died, and I'd just confused these two facts. So for 6 weeks, I'd told people with chest that 100,000 prisoners of war had died, and that'd be like one of the biggest natural disasters. Like, and the people would go, oh, and I'm like, yeah, it's mad, what? 100,000 100,000. And then one day a guy was like, really nice guy, a guest was like, Lauren, just a great walkabout, great, really, really engaging, really informative, but I think you might just have one of your facts wrong. And I was like, what? How dare you? And he said it, and I was like, no, I think so. He's like, it's definitely not. And I was saying this presentation in front of a plaque that says 100 people have died. Like, if I'd just taken the time to read it one more time, I'd have got it right. But yeah, so that was, stupid. I told hundreds of people as well. A lot of people had come through. And yeah, some people all gone home and be like, oh, did you know? I bet you. Our rep told us.
So after Slovenia, what was the plan after that?
So yeah, came out again and worked in Kitzbühel.
Mm-hmm.
But again, a fancy place.
It's very fancy, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sonny's got the wrong end of the stick for me. But it was, I would say that Kits, I had a great season there. I was finally part of a team as well, which is something I had, because it'd been two of us, then just me, then two of us, then just me. So it was nice to be part of a bigger team. Mm-hmm. Big ski area, beautiful ski area as well. Like, you can understand why there's been so much money put in, because when you go up to the top of that mountain, it is stunningly beautiful. Mm-hmm. Like, and of course they have the hand and cam, the race. Yeah. When my mum and dad don't ski, and they watched the hand and cam on Ski Sunday in the UK, and they called me while I was in kids. They were like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you do this!" I'm like, I don't quite do that, mother. It's nowhere near as extreme. Like, they're coming down it in like 3 minutes. I'm taking like 30. Like don't worry. And also they prepared it for the race and everything. But yeah, it was funny. She was like, "Oh, I can't believe you do that." I was like, cool that you think that, but
I'd have just left him thinking you did.
Nah, I'd probably had an injury before now if I'd not been doing that. But Kids was great. I had a great team. Yeah, I met some good people. But it's probably got some of my best stories, which I won't divulge too much. We want to save them, because I worked in a hotel. I can say it because it's not there anymore, called the Jägerwert.
All right.
And it was mental. It was like Fawlty Towers. Like, it was. The two owners were phenomenal. They were the guy. He was a local guy. It's a family hotel, and his wife was Irish. And he'd lived in London for a long time, but he was this massive, like, 6'7" guy, and like built like a brick shit house, the massive beard that rode a Harley.
Oh wow!
Like, he was but he was a really nice guy as well. Yeah. Like, although at first they didn't really like us. They didn't really like the company. There'd been some problems in the summer and blah blah. So he was a bit rude. Mm-hmm. Like, he came in front and while I was doing a welcome meeting, and told everybody not to trust me because I'm just there to get their money and everything.
What?
I know. When I'm like, we're definitely not. We're not making anything on this. Like, I'm just telling you about. I'm holding up the piste map. Like, they've also already had a day's skiing, so there's nothing for them to buy from. Yeah. But yeah, he was. Yeah, but then I think I won them over. Yeah, it was
won them over with your charm.
Yeah, and then a few. Like, one day I went in and it was 7 a.m. I was in visits, because it was we had pretty much all the rooms for Crystal. Right. So we had like 100 people a week, so I was just in there morning and evening pretty much every day. Mm-hmm. Kitzbühel is a really expensive resort, but this was like a budget friendly version, or not version, but the hotel wasn't particularly expensive. Like, all the other ones that you're talking high end, because they're in Kitz, so they're going to make themselves fancy. Mm-hmm. Whereas this hotel hadn't. Maybe we could do with some renovation, but I mean, it served the purpose, and it means that you could have Kitzbühel level skiing and be in the resort, and you didn't have to break your bank for it. So it was actually I really liked it, and also the guests there for me were better then, because they weren't as pretentious as like, in the other hotels. It was so fancy, and that was just a bit more tongue in cheek. People were there to ski, and it was. Yeah, the people I would say were better, but they were also sometimes a bit mental. Like, one morning I went in at 7 a.m, and the receptionist said to me, she was like, "Oh, Alex wants to see you," and it was like I was getting called to the principal's office. I was like, "Oh my god!" The office was like above the reception. She's like, "He's called down." So I was like, "Didn't even come down. He's calling me up to the office." I went up to this office, and he was like, there was 2 tumblers on the table, and he was like, "Try that whiskey." It's 7 a.m. Okay, and I was like, all right, fine. We sat and we had a whiskey, and he was like, "Where do you think it's from?" And I was like, I have no idea where this is from. Like, but I'm going to go on the bait. I've never tried a Japanese whiskey before. However, I know that they're supposed to be as good, like they kind of like a Scottish space, like a kind of light Scottish whiskey. And if you're asking me, you're going to expect me to say some sort of Scottish whiskey. So I was like, I'm playing the man here. I was like, I mean, I don't know exactly, but I'm going to assume it's Japanese. And he was like, oh my God. He was over the moon. But he then proceeded to take the bottle out, and then we drank most of the bottle at 7 a.m. I came out and called my boyfriend today. I was like, God, I'm absolutely bitten. He's like, how have you got drunk this quickly? I was like, I couldn't say no. He was just kept pouring sort of trams of whiskey, and I was supposed to go skiing and like mashed. I had to go.
But like, was it Japanese?
Yeah. That's why he was so excited. I'm like,
that is so fucking random.
Oh no, yeah. And also, someone overheard me in a cafe in Finland and said he was like a lifty, and he ran Finland's first whiskey like group. And they had me over to do a whiskey tasting with all these middle-aged Finnish guys. That was pretty mental as well. Because I just heard them, I had a Scottish accent. So he was
you
like,
must be a whiskey
yeah, of course. Yeah. And I was just trying to rhyme off all the things my dad said over the years. I was like, I've been to a couple of distilleries as well. I was like, what did they say about them all? just talking pish. That's why I got into repping. That's the job. So... yeah, it was it was very fun. But yeah, he was a great guy. I mean, as I say, the hotel's not there anymore. They sold it up and it's now a block of flats. But yeah, it was like somebody said that their radiator had fallen off the wall, and they went the housemaster went up to fix it, and he just duct taped it back onto the wall. And like, see, after years of having a radiator on the wall, there's all the manky stuff, and they hadn't even cleaned up the stuff, Jesus. All the dust and foust that had been in there. They just left it on the floor, and he was like, "I fixed the radiator." I was like, "You've not though, have you?" Like, it's just a bit higgledy-piggledy, and it was entertaining.
Yeah. And it gives you a bunch of good stories.
Yeah, rep stories, yeah. It's funny, whenever anyone says, like, oh, what is your best story? You can't really think of anything, but see, when you start thinking, you think, God, these situations that I've been in, like, that there's not many other jobs that you'd have to face.
The most random situations.
I think, see, when my friends went away to Morzine and had done seasons, or had a few of them lived in the Highlands and Islands in Scotland, I thought, God, when you come back, your CV is going to look like you've got like a bit missing, that it's not really well looked at.
That you've got like a gap
and like,
in employment type thing. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So I was thinking, oh God, right, I'll do this one season, but I'll need to make like it's just going to be a bit of a blip. And it's absolutely not.
Yeah.
See, being able to deal with people on holiday that have lost their minds.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's an incredible skill. I've gained so much from being put in these situations, and and having to deal with people at their best, at their worst, at just their most extreme. So it's been a learning curve.
So going to Kitzbühel, was it a kind of conscious decision to go back to Austria, or was that just where Crystal had placed you at that time?
That was just where Crystal had placed me at that time. I was, at the time, the way that the company was structured, it was like Austria, rest of world. So like, you were pretty much placed within the same area. I mean, if I asked to go to France or Italy, it didn't really matter to me. I quite enjoyed Austria. Yeah. And also, with hindsight, I'm glad, because I know, for example, France, the skiing's probably better. Italy, the food's definitely better. Like, there's obviously pluses, whereas I really do love the mountain hut culture. I love the I think they're quite happy to have the tourism industries here. So yeah, for me, for working especially, like, it just makes your environment a lot nicer when people want you there. And that's what Kitzbühel probably, that's why I know I was in I had the most issues and problems in that hotel, but I didn't really mind, because they were happy to have me. I got to know the receptionist, the girl who worked at the bar. Like, I got to know them all, whereas for the rest of the teams, they were just going into these really stuffy, high-end hotels, and like, were only allowed to sit in a specific part of the reception, because they don't understand why you need a rep, but that's part of our job. So I actually, although it was a bit higgledy-piggledy, it was much more fun. Like, it was crazy.
So we are still in Austria. At this point, do you have a plan, or is it just to figure out what's going on? No,
but I think it's probably, I don't have a plan, but I'm not like a maverick, but I am enjoying what I'm doing. So the plan's kind of, and while this is fun, let it be fun. Yeah. So yeah, I was still just enjoying the seasons. And then by that point, I'd met someone. We met when I was in Kits and he was in Seoul. And yeah, that meant that coming into the summer, he was originally supposed to be in Spain, I think. So he was doing a beach season, yeah.
Okay.
And then we'd spent some time, he lives in Wales and I live in Scotland. And we'd spent some time at each other's houses. And then he was going away to Spain for 6 months. And I was going to Austria. So that was kind of it.
Yeah.
And then he got a call from the boss, said, like, would you like a job in Austria? There's somebody's dropped out. And they knew that we were together. So yeah, he came. So we've went from not spending 6 months together and being in 2 different countries that we can't visit really to being in the same apartment. Which...
And how long had you been together at this point?
Like 4 months.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was, it went from one extreme to another. But it worked. We were in Seefeld, and Seefeld is an incredibly beautiful place. I would recommend someone to go there for a week's holiday, but months in Seefeld.
Not so much.
There's not a huge amount to do. We hiked a lot of the mountains pretty quickly. So, it was... And Kurt wasn't particularly into hiking to begin with. So, yeah, it was more... And I'd done loads in Slovenia, but it was then more like I was then planning a lot of it. So yeah, we had a great season. It was really fun, and yeah, obviously we stayed together. It was good in a relationship part. But yeah, Seefeld, not a huge amount to do there.
No.
Kurt had been my boss in Kitzbühel at the end. Like, my manager had left and he came over to manage us for the next few weeks. In case you're wondering, I am not very easy to manage when you're my partner. Like, for anybody else, I think I'm all right, but yeah.
A few disagreements.
Yeah. I'm an opinionated person. So, but then after Seefeld, we were both going for management positions.
Okay.
So we both put down Bad Hofgastein. Or we put down Gastein as we'd like to go to, and I got the management position. So he'd managed me, and then I was managing him. So we went back and forth.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting dynamic. But to be fair, he worked. He was the hardest worker I've ever had.
Really?
To be fair. Yeah. It was always really good. But yeah, we did Bad Hofgastein. So we lived in Bad Hofgastein. We did a lot of skiing in Gastein. But that was my first management position. And it was difficult. I was working in Bad Hofgastein, but looking after 4 or 5 resorts. So a place called Raudus, Schladming, Obertown, and both Gasteins.
Right.
So I was managing a team that were completely remote. So yeah, I couldn't be in resort with all of them. And to be fair, they were all really good. Like, I had the 2 girls I had in Schladming were great. They were quite young, really beautiful, good skiers. Like, of what they were doing, like an info point, and they sent me a picture because the Austrian ski team had bought them champagne, and they're just waving their crystal uniforms on the bar with this bottle of champagne. I'm like,
oh God,
you're still working. But their scores were great, and the guests loved them. They had a great season. Everybody had it. So do you know what? And they dealt with that was when we had loads and loads of snow that year.
Okay.
So for skiing, phenomenal, but see, for trying to get thousands of people across the country, so to the airport and back, for example, is
not good.
Yeah. So it was, they had a tough season, so if they want to party. So yeah, they were really good. And then I did the classic thing. It was the first time managing. I wanted to do everything, and I was trying to do it all myself. And then it got like part of the way through the season. I called my boss and I was like, "This is just getting a bit much." Yeah, I just had to. He was like, "Oh, well, let's talk about it." He's still my boss, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was really good. Like, he was like, "Yeah, like, well, let's look at how we do things better. You can't do everything." Who is your boss? Jamie Ridgway.
I know Jamie Ridgway.
Yeah, shout out Jamie.
Yeah, shout out Jamie.
Yeah, he was my first. He came over. He'd been working in France for most of it, most of his crystal career, and then this was his first season in Austria. Although, like, in between the seasons, Kurt and I did like in between season work, so we like worked in the office and helped get ready for winter.
Okay.
But pretty much did the donkey work, to be honest. But it was good. It gave us some money, meant we stayed in the mountains.
Yeah.
And yeah, for Kurt's birthday, I'd arranged a sports day. It was really into sports, so I'd like just stupid stuff, like you had to skip with lanyards, and we played volleyball, we played like different things, but one of them was an egg and spoon race, and if you've met Jamie, he shakes a little bit. And he was like, "Oh great, egg and spoon race for the shakiest man alive," and I was like, "This is my new boss, I can't believe I've done this." Like, he was very good about it. He did not win, but
no, he's a legend.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, I was like, "Oh my god, I can't do this." But no, it was good fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jamie, I've worked for Jamie for a while now. And yeah, he helped me to not get so overwhelmed.
Good.
But yeah, Gastein was fun.
So after Gastein, what happened after that?
So after that, like, I think, as I say, like, you do kind of roll into the next season, and that was my first season managing people. And yeah, I got a position in Garda, on Lake Garda, in Garda town.
Yeah.
So
in Italy.
In Italy, yeah. Italia. That's the technical term.
Italia.
It was pretty sought after going to Garda. Everybody and anyone that I'd spoken to had like loved their season. You've done a season in Garda.
I've done 4 seasons in Garda. In fact, looking at the timeline, I think we were there at the same time.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said that a bit Italian. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, you can see my Italian's as good as my German. Yeah, I suppose there was a plan. I was then starting to do more responsible jobs, and yeah, after I'd done my winter, I was kind of wanting to stay on that trajectory. So I went to Garda, and I would say that, yeah, so maybe I had really high expectations because loads of people had done like what you had done and spent quite a few seasons there, or they'd done. I mean, to be honest, I had to go to it, or I had to go to a different country because at the time it was A1 visa. Like, you can't, I think it's like within 108, or you can't. Oh, I don't really know, but there was the legality was you couldn't do like 2 years in the one country,
right?
And then we just left the whole EU entirely. Wonderful, what a great idea.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started on Brexit.
This is not political. Podcast.
I try to avoid that subject quite heavily on the podcast, even though it affects us probably, well, a great deal, let's say. But
it does.
It makes me angry. So,
well, at the time, we were blissfully unaware that we were going to leave the EU, so we were our A1s at the time. And yeah, we went to Italy. And did the summer there, and yeah, I probably had pretty high expectations because everyone had raved about it so much, and I was based in Garda town, which isn't the most exciting town on the lake. Like, we had a lot of guests, a big team, lots of hotels, and people like, bearing in mind that the reason that I was in Kranjska Gora is because I really like the outdoors and I love hiking, I love climbing, I love doing all these things, but yeah, in Garda town, there's not a lot of that. It's pretty flat. And yeah, people would come back year on year and be like, I've been coming here for 20 years. And I'd always be like, oh, why? It's interesting. Like, what brings you back? What's the main draw? And oh, it's nice and flat, doesn't it? See if that's the reason. See if that's the reason you're coming back to a place repeatedly. That's not where you want to live for 6 months. And it was just bakingly hot as well.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be negative about it because it's a stunningly beautiful place. Like, there is lots to do in the sense of, there's lots of wine tasting, there's lots of excursions, there's lots of things you can do on the lake, you can relax a lot. Like, for a holiday, it's 10 out of 10. Just for a season, it was probably my most difficult season. I was managing a big team, and yeah, there was lots of difficulties, and so I would say that, yeah, I always want to caveat when I speak to people that yes, I've done one season in Italy, and yes, it wasn't my favourite, but I don't think that's Italy's fault. Like, I'm definitely not. I would be open to going back. Probably not to Garda, probably the north part of the lake.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, people underestimate how big the lake actually is.
Massive.
It's the largest lake in Italy. I can't remember the kilometres, but it's fucking big.
It's really big.
In the north, you have the mountainous areas, and in the south, it's complete opposite. There's like, it's flat and there's nothing there really. Well, I mean, there's lovely things there, but it's not a active holiday. You don't have like the water sports because there's no wind and the hiking or the climbing because there's no mountains. So yeah, different vibe depending on where you are. And Garda is, of course, the southeast. Yeah.
It was a different beast to the last couple of winters I'd done. So Garda, not in my top 10.
Yeah.
Then when it came to coming back to Austria, I was very happy.
Speaking of crystal managers, recently had Angela Kerwin on the show. And I actually contacted her and asked her to give me a question to ask you today. So
what's it going to be?
It's surprising because I asked people to send me questions and none of them were stupid or ridiculous or like trying to get you in trouble. So, but yeah, Hang on, I look like an old lady.
I was going to say.
I look like an old lady on my phone. I knew you were judging me.
I'm absolutely
You were
judging
like watching me intently.
Absolutely judging you there. Yeah.
I am an old lady, right? It is what it is.
I was using my phone one time, like it was last scene, on my lap, just with my index finger, and I had a rep that was 18, 19, I think, and she laughed at me, and then we provided her with our work brick phone, and she couldn't text on it, and I was like, that's a funny now, is it? Shout out Nelly.
Shout out Nelly, was
Yeah,
it?
it was Nelly.
Nelly listens to the show as well.
Yeah, she you laughed at me, so I laughed at you back.
This is from Angie. You're ridiculously good at getting guests relaxed and happy, even when things have gone wrong, and you have a way of getting everyone around you to stay positive, even during transfer day chaos. What's your best advice for staying positive when things go wrong?
Oof, that's good. I mean, I would probably say that it's just not that deep. I know that seems like a simplistic way to answer, but like the people that are kicking off, they're not having a go at you, so you just have to listen to them, let them run themselves out, just be there, listen to them, understand where they're coming from. You don't. They're angry at the uniform more than they're angry at you.
Yeah.
And also in these times, see when that adrenaline kicks in, see that little bit of fear and anxiety, like use that to your advantage. Like having a little bit of nerves going into these situations is completely normal. But just understand that people are people, even if they're not treating you that way. Yeah. I think it's, I mean, Ange and I spent 2 days in Linz one time with 600 guests, which is
tell us about that.
Oh, yeah, there was 2 flights, I'm pretty sure, that were, on the 5th of January a couple of years ago, they had way too much snow and even Austria just couldn't cope with it. The flights were delayed, diverted, they were everywhere. And to be honest, like with anything, like we plan as much as we can for these situations, but see when every single thing falls apart, it's so difficult. Like going from, if we have all of the coaches and everything in Innsbruck, and a flight tries to land in Innsbruck and then it's diverted, it'll be diverted within, or land within half an hour, but we can't get the coaches and the staff to that. We can't get them to land. It's 6 hours drive away.
Yeah.
So like people just don't see that as understandable.
Yeah.
And to be fair to them, we did. I mean, it was chaos. We weren't prepared for it. There was just people all over the place. We did eventually get most people away, but one of the flights that were taking, or 2 of the flights that were supposed to take people back home, the flight crew went out of hours after all of the shenanigans and after all of the chaos. So we couldn't find a hotel for all of them, so they were across loads of different hotels. And I was there with Ange and 2 other colleagues, but it was pretty much just me and Ange.
Yeah.
And you'd go in, and then the flight was delayed overnight again.
Oh God.
So yeah, people were just kicking off. But after a while, like I think the only 2 things apparently to do in Linz are there's a really good tram museum and there's a really nice big cemetery. So after a while, I was like, look, there's nothing else for you to do. There's no point in sitting in the lobby. You may as well, look, why don't we walk down? It's only 10 minutes walk down to the tram museum. A lot of people were just like, yep, all right, okay, we may as well.
Yeah.
I think, it was for us, it was intense. And then everybody else was like, oh God, wasn't that such a nightmare? I was like, was? I'm still in Linz. It was chaos. It was 2 days of sheer chaos. But yeah, we worked it out, and that's probably where a lot of that questions come from, because Ange and I were a good support for each other, because I think in these times, like, that's kind of these problem solving moments and the sort of, I don't want to say excitement because it's not, but it is the excitement of that, like. That's kind of what spurs you on, because you've definitely not had any sleep or anything to eat. So, just treating people as people, the way that you would like to be treated, and just knowing that in that moment you're probably not going to get treated like that, but just understand and listen to people.
Yeah, there's nothing else you can do.
Also, genuinely, see if you like. This isn't something that many people could take away from it, but see, being Scottish, Southern English people don't want to shout at you, or if they do. then you go, all right, okay. They get a bit like taken aback, whereas if it's another Southern English person, oh, good luck. Like, I know that seems a bit simple, but genuinely a lot of the time. And see if you make a slight joke that's maybe not inappropriate in a wee bit, like that would probably piss someone off. But if you say it a little bit funny and they laugh, you know you've got them. You know you've got. If you say it and they're like, oh well, I can't just get another plate or something, and they laugh, you're like, ha ha, yeah, see, we're gonna be pals. I remember being in Innsbruck Airport once as well, and there was like the tannoy machine. We'd been overnighted a million times over that summer. But you have to wait for 3 seconds after you press the tannoy. So you press the tannoy, it goes bing, bing, bong. I still have no update. And everyone's just like, oh my God's sake. It gives them 3 seconds to stare at you as well. And then you're just like, I don't have anything to tell you. Like, but I'm here. Like, if you want to come and talk to me, like,
yeah,
I'm not going to promise you the world, but it's, because it is what it is.
It is what it is, yeah.
And I know I never want to be because traveling's stressful for anyone. And as well, if you've booked a tour operator, it's probably because you want someone to be responsible for everything.
Yeah.
So when things do go wrong, and maybe they don't have or people that don't work in the tour ops business don't have as much knowledge, they don't really understand that we can't just get another plane. We don't just have like an
extra coaches or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that's a big one. Is like. Yeah. Why can't you just get more coaches? Like, sometimes flights get diverted to another country and you can't just get another coach. You still have to get the same coach, and you can't just, you don't have all the contacts there.
You've got driver hours, you've got crew hours, you've got like, and I think in all of this, no one's really thinking about our hours.
Yeah. Oh, no.
So, yeah, it's, and in these moments, I know that's such a bad answer to a question of how do you stay positive? Just stay positive. Do you know, as well, see with that specific scenario, everyone was kicking off and we were in and out of these hotels, and really you were walking in immediately just to get shouted at, so you just had to brace yourself and be honest with people and talk to them and say, look, I don't have information for you, but I'm here, I'm trying to help. Like, but all I could think of the whole time is, oh my God, this is going to be amazing snowboarding. There was children crying, people screaming, and I was just like, yeah, but the snow, I know you guys are going home, the snow is going to be incredible, it's going to be the best snow of my life. Like, Austria's shut down, this is going to, you know it's going to be good. So that kept you going, like.
Too much banter. Tune in next week where we get an in-depth look into resort work during the aftermath of COVID, and things get a little bit serious as Lauren shares her experience of a life-changing health scare.
It was either going to be a tumour on my brain pressing on my pituitary gland, or the other way around, it was going to be a tumour on the pituitary gland pressing on my brain. So that's what was up and pressing on my optical nerve and things. So one was you take medication and it should be absolutely fine, and one was it's inoperable.
Oh, Jesus.
So there's not really any middle ground there. Like.
As always, thanks to Mike at Mike's Sports Bar for the studio space. Thanks to sponsors Dope Snow. Thanks to Mondo Wave for the music. And thanks to you guys for tuning in. See you all again next time.
See if you rob me at gunpoint and I give you 300 quid, because after you press that button, it completely locks down. It's like a massive metal box.
Oh,
so, do you think you're not going to shoot me after 300 quid? That's a spit in the face. So yeah, that was. I don't think they were like, don't be a hero. I was like, don't you be a hero? Give them the money. Let them into the safe. I've only got one face. Like, so.
Yeah, they didn't think that one through.
Yeah, but you could probably rob the gas off.
You'd probably only get 300 quid with gas off.
If you're lucky. Yeah, and I owe you.